One of the biggest accomplishments that a Pokemon Go player can make is reaching level 80, but it's going to be incredibly difficult and not a lot of players are going to be able to make it. Within this video, I'm going to be giving you some tips and tricks that will allow you to reach level 80 with ease, and I really do think that for a majority of players, this is going to be incredibly helpful. So let's get right into it. Alright, what's happening everyone? Jinsula here with a brand new Pokemon Go video. I hope your day is going really well, and let's get right into it. So as of last week, we can now reach level 80 in Pokemon Go. Previously, before the new leveling system, the maximum level that a trainer can achieve was level 50, and it was something that was incredibly difficult and most players did not reach level 50 before the new system. However, with level 80, it is actually a little bit easier compared to the previous system, but it is incredibly grindy, and some of the tasks that are required for you to complete from level 70 to level 80 are going to be something that only a majority of the advanced players are actually going to be able to accomplish. But in this video, I'm going to be going over some solid tips and tricks that will help you reach level 80, and if you're not already there yet, it will actually prepare you before you get to level 70. So yeah, let's dive right into it. And before we get into the tips and tricks, let me first talk about some of the requirements. So right now, if you want to reach level 80, you need a total of 203,353,000 experience. That is quite a substantial number, and for a majority of players, they're already well on their way. For some players, maybe they already have this number of experience and they're just trying to complete the tasks, but regardless, this is the final number of experience that you are going to need. And then also with this big experience number, you also need to have 50 platinum achievement badges, which is actually something that a lot of players probably do not have at this point. So that is something you do need to keep in mind. If you're not necessarily paying attention to the achievement badges, you really do need to focus on them, because if you do not have 50 achievement badges at platinum, you're not going to be able to reach level 80. So if you're not there yet, if you're just starting your experience grind, as you're playing, make sure you keep these things in mind. You're going to need just over 200 million experience, and you're also going to need 50 achievement badges at platinum level. So yeah, that's pretty much really all you need to know regarding the requirements, but let's get into the details. So up until level 70, you actually just need experience points. There's not going to be any special tasks or any kind of requirements aside from just experience. And the requirement to get to level 70 from 0 is going to be 85,853,000 experience. And if you happen to have that much experience, you're probably already at level 70, and now you can start on the big difficult tasks for each level. Now, if you do not have that number of experience, the best way you can get it is, of course, the friendship system. If you're opening and sending gifts consistently every single day and hitting best friends and popping lucky eggs when you do, you're going to accumulate millions of experience. It's probably the best way to expedite yourself to level 70, but you really shouldn't stop even if you hit level 70, because of course you need even more experience, almost more than double the amount of experience to reach level 80. And even if you do not complete the tasks, you can still accumulate experience and total them up so that all you have to worry about is the tasks. Another thing that's going to be really important for collecting experience is, of course, those lucky eggs. Lucky eggs are a premium item that doubles the amount of experience every time you use it, and it's pretty much with every single source of experience. This can include raid battles, hatching eggs, evolving Pokemon, catching Pokemon, and of course the friendship level system, completing field research tasks, all that sort of stuff. You're going to be getting double the amount of experience, but the key thing here is that you will want to use your lucky eggs efficiently. You do not want to run out on them, because the times when you have a huge injection of experience, you will want to make sure you have a lucky egg in stock. So my suggestion is that you use your lucky eggs specifically at those moments where you know you're going to get a huge injection of experience. This could include raid hours, or if you're about to hit best friends with a whole slew of different friends on your friends list, those are the times you will want to pop your lucky eggs. And of course, there are those spotlight hours that give you experience bonuses. Those are now super important because they give you experience and they give you a substantial amount of experience. So yeah, I really do think it's important that you use your lucky eggs during those events as well. Okay, so now that we covered the two main roadblockers for hitting level 80, which is the experience and the platinum badges, let's go over each of the individual level requirements. These are going to be special tasks that you will need to complete in order to reach the next level, and it starts at level 70. So, for example, when you reach level 70, you're going to see a whole bunch of tasks that will be required along with experience in order to reach level 71. And then afterwards, there's going to be a new set of requirements that you will need to complete in order to reach level 72, and so on and so forth. So let's go over them individually right now. So if you want to reach level 71, these are going to be the tasks. You will need to complete 15 platinum medals. That's going to be the platinum medal requirement. You will also need 93,853,000 experience total. And then you're also going to need to power up legendary or mythical Pokemon 20 times. That means you're going to have to spend some Stardust. And then you will need to make 999 nice throws, which is going to be quite grindy, but one of the best ways you could do that is of course doing legendary raids. If you go to a legendary raid and use the set circle trick, that's going to give you a huge amount of nice throws, and that's probably the best way to do it. So doing a whole bunch of raid battles on, let's say, a raid hour, or let's say a raid day of some sort, that will definitely contribute to this particular requirement. And then of course, you need to catch 100 Pokemon within a single day, and that is actually probably the easiest out of these tasks. Again, as long as you have one of these and you have a full stock of Pokeballs and you're just walking around or driving around, you'll complete this one in no time. That's going to be the easiest part. And then going to level 72, you're going to need even more experience, and it's going to be a total number of 102,603,000 experience. That's an additional about 9 million experience from level 71. And then you're going to need 20 platinum medals. And then this is going to be the first time-gated requirement, but you're going to need to complete a route on 7 days in a row. That means for 7 days consecutively, you will need to complete a route. And I can see why this one would be very frustrating for certain players, especially if they do not live near routes. So my suggestion for this one is that once you reach level 71, plan it out ahead of time. Make sure you block off 7 days in a row where you know you will be free to complete at least one route. It's probably the best practice that you just have a bit of a routine where maybe on the way to the gym or maybe on a morning run, you will complete a route. And as long as you do it 7 days in a row, you will be able to complete this task. And do keep in mind is that if you miss a day, you will need to start from scratch. So yeah, make sure you pre-plan this, because doing a route on 7 days consecutively can be quite difficult. So yeah, this is probably one that's going to frustrate a lot of players. And another thing you should do is also engage with the buddy adventure system, because one of the tasks that is required for getting a heart is completing a route with your buddy active. So don't forget that while you complete these routes. Now, another task that you will be required to do is use 200 super effective charge attacks. Just like with the previous tasks, all you have to do is do a whole bunch of raid battles with Pokemon that are direct counters. Use Pokemon that have very fast charge attacks, like maybe one that has like a 2-bar charge attack. That's going to be really good for completing this task. And then you have to earn 1 million Stardust. Again, that's very straightforward. Maybe you could save it for like a Spotlight Hour with a double Stardust Pokemon, or a bonus Stardust Pokemon like Sableye or Trubbish, one of those. It's going to allow you to get 1 million Stardust really easily. All right, next let's go over to what's required for level 73. You need to earn 25 platinum medals, and again, keep in mind that it's not like you have to have 25 platinum medals on top of the original. So essentially, they're adding 5 platinum medals with each level requirement all the way up to level 80, which is going to be 50 platinum medals. So we're going to disregard those from this point on. The total number of experience you're going to be required to have is 112,103,000. And then you will need to purify 100 shadow Pokemon. This is going to be incredibly expensive when it comes to Stardust and candies. One suggestion is that you save all of the 1,000 Stardust cost purification Pokemon, like for example, Shadow Pidgey, or Shadow Rattata, like those kind of Pokemon, Shadow Zubat, that's pretty common. Make sure you're saving those in your Pokemon storage, and when you get to this requirement, make sure you purify them, and that's how you're going to be able to complete this task. And then you will be required to power up 3 different Pokemon to their maximum level. That's going to be very expensive. I believe you will need about 1,200,000 Stardust. I could be wrong there, but that should be about the approximate cost for maxing out 3 different Pokemon. So if you happen to have 3 Pokemon that are close to getting maxed out, don't max them out just yet. Just save it for when you reach level 72, because this is going to be a requirement that will require a lot of candy and Stardust. So it's best that you save it for that one. And then you will need to win 30 raids, very straightforward. Just do 30 raids like on a raid day and you'll be able to complete this task. All right, now in order to reach level 74, the total number of experience that you will need is 122,353,000 experience. And then of course 30 platinum medals is the amount you need, and you need to level up a max move 20 times. And this is somewhat new because of course Dynamax battles are brand new. So in order to complete this, have a whole bunch of Dynamax Pokemon on the ready and make sure you max them out. And then you will need to explore 200 kilometers. That's going to be insane. Basically, just make sure you're doing a lot of walking every single day. Make sure your adventure sync is on. And then as you're playing the game, you will be able to complete this task. And then you will also need to complete 250 field research tasks. Yeah, this is just a lot of insane grinding. My big suggestion is that you go to like a major city where there's just a ton of Pokestops, and then while you're there, just try to focus on completing research tasks and walk those kilometers while you do it. All right, moving on to level 75, the requirements for that. It's going to be 133,353,000 experience. The platinum medal requirement will be moved up to 34, and then you need to make 999 great throws. Again, it's just all about grinding. Just like with the nice throws, just do a whole bunch of raids, make sure you're doing the set circle trick. That's probably your best way for completing that task. And then you need to hatch 75 eggs. If you have a whole bunch of incubators on hand, hold off on using them. Make sure you save them for when you reach level 74, because this task is going to be incredibly grindy. And another suggestion is maybe you could save it for, let's say, like a wild area event or Go Tour event, because they tend to have low kilometer eggs that you constantly get. I think that could be a great way for you to put a lot of numbers into this task. And then you need to send 500 gifts to friends. Of course, there is a sending limit every single day, so this one is essentially a time-gated one. So yeah, make sure you're sending gifts all the time. And then also communicate with your friends, the ones you can communicate with, to open those gifts so you can send another one. That is another big thing. All right, and then moving on to level 76, you will need 145,353,000 experience. 38 platinum medals are going to be required, and then you need to defeat 100 Team Go Rocket grunts. Probably the best thing is to wait for a Team Go Rocket takeover event, then make sure you're just completing as many grunt battles as you can. That's probably your best way to complete this task. And then you will need to explore 300 kilometers. So just like the other level, you will just need to do a whole bunch of walking. And then you will need to catch 200 Pokemon in a single day. Once again, I do suggest you have one of these. It's definitely going to allow you to do that. And then to get to level 77, you will need 158,353 total experience, 41 total platinum medals, and then you will need to win 100 max battles. This is a pretty difficult one because you do have a limit to the amount of max particles you get every single day, and there are going to be certain max battles that are just not necessarily going to be that easy. So yeah, this one's very straightforward. Just complete your max battles. I would say that you should save up some really good Dynamax Pokemon, and then once you get to this level, just start focusing on max battles. That's probably the best way you can do it. And then you will need to power up 7 Pokemon this time to their maximum level. Again, just have a whole bunch of Pokemon on hand that you're very close to maxing out, and then wait until you get to these levels and then max them out. Don't max them out right away. Just save your Stardust and your candies, and once you get to these levels, then you should max them out. And then you need to make 10 trades with Pokemon caught at least 300 kilometers apart. For me personally, this is the way that I do it. I usually just trade Pokemon to someone locally, but these are Pokemon that I get from 7-kilometer eggs from locations far away, because something you may not necessarily realize is that the Pokemon that you hatch from eggs are going to have the origin place from where you got that egg. And 7-kilometer eggs you get from opening gifts from friends, and if the friends live at least 300 kilometers away, it's going to count towards this particular task. So that is a huge tip. I think a lot of players do not realize that. They feel like they need to wait until they meet someone that lives 300 kilometers away. No, you don't need to do that. You just have to have Pokemon from 7 kilometer X from people who live very far away. And then just save those and then trade those. Boom, you'll be done with this task. All right, let's move on to level 78. So you need 172,353,000 experience total, 44 platinum medals total, and then you need to earn 400 hearts with your buddy. Oh boy, this is going to be pretty huge. I think the best way you could do this is, of course, Poffins. Poffins are probably the best way to accumulate a ton of hearts, but I believe the maximum number of hearts you can get per day, even with the Poffin, is about 32. So yeah, just keep in mind, this could be a time-gated thing, but if you're working on multiple buddies a day, grinding it out, you will be able to accomplish this in no time. And then you need to explore 400 kilometers. Again, more kilometer walking. They really want to get you out there. And then this time you will need to complete 500 field research tasks. Pretty big numbers, but it's totally doable. And then for reaching level 79, you will need 187,353,000 experience total, a total of 47 platinum medals, and then you will need to defeat Team Go Rocket leaders 30 times. Very straightforward. And then you need to obtain 50 lucky Pokemon in trades. This one is probably going to be difficult. I would just say that just trade with your friends. Trade with friends who are best friends, because I think the chances of you getting lucky trades are much higher. And then of course, lucky friend trades, if you're sitting on a bunch of those, save them for when you reach level 78 and you'll be able to complete this task. This one's actually very similar to one of the tasks that was in the original level 50 tasks, I think. So yeah. All right, and finally, to reach the last level, level 80, you need a total of 203,353,000 experience, which is what I mentioned before. You also need 50 platinum medals total, which is also the other roadblock, and then you need to win 80 trainer battles in the Go Battle League. Oh boy. So this one is definitely going to frustrate players because there's a lot of people who just simply do not care about PvP. But yeah, you might need to start getting into it because you need to win 80 trainer battles, which I think is totally doable within even a week. So yeah. And then you need to make 999 excellent throws. It's not 999 excellent throws in a row, thank God. Again, doing raid battles, doing the set circle trick, that's your best way for doing it. And speaking of which, you will also need to win 80 raids. So yeah, I will say this is all really grindy. This is all really difficult, but it's totally doable. If you follow the tips that I mentioned and if you get well prepared, it's going to go by pretty quickly. I do predict that it would take you, if you just did some intense grinding every single day, you could probably do like from level 70 to level 80, assuming you already have the experience. Like it could take you about a month just doing these tasks. But I think the biggest roadblockers are going to be those platinum medals as well as the experience. So yeah, I think that's why it's going to take maybe a year, maybe 2 years before some players actually hit level 80. I know some of the most hardcore players are probably going to hit it within a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of months. I think some of the YouTubers are already at like level 72. Yeah, so just get on it. I think that's really the best thing you could do. Just start playing the game. And yeah, you'll reach level 80 in no time. But in any case, that's going to be it for this video. Definitely share your thoughts regarding everything that I talked about down below. Is there a big tip that I completely missed regarding some of these tasks or leveling up in general? Definitely say what it is down below, and yeah, let's help each other and have a great discussion. I look forward to your comments. I think it's pretty big that we have this new system, and it's definitely doing some big stuff for the game. And yeah, thank you so much for making it all the way to the end of this video. I really hope you enjoyed it, found it to be informative and helpful. If you did, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if it's your first time here, and don't forget that notification bell so you know exactly when I upload videos. And real quick, let me give a shout out to all of my patrons on Patreon. You make this channel content possible. If you want to support the contents of the channel, the best way you could do that is going to be by joining my Patreon. And if you decide to become a paid Patreon member, I'm going to add you to my Pokemon Go friends list. So that means for stuff like like remote raids, the friendship system, opening and sending gifts, different things like that. If you want to play Pokemon Go with me, then make sure you go and check out my Patreon. I'll put a link to it in the description below. And if you want to support my channel in a completely different way, you could do so by following me on social media. My handle is @Jinsula. I'm on the platforms you see right now on the bottom of your screen. Make sure you go over there and give me a follow, and that'll be a huge help to my channel, and you'll have access to some exclusive content, and you'll be able to keep up with my daily life. With all that said, that's going to be it for this video. I'm Jinsula. Be safe, have fun, love yourself, and I'll catch you all later.